What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and we are back with another episode of Let's Address the Comments. Real quick, I know y'all see the background right here. I know things look a little bit different. I'm trying out a new camera, considering last week when I live streamed, my camera overheated like around 3.5 hours. And I could get a dummy battery, I could do that, make things work a little bit better. But in the meantime, I just switched out with my boyfriend's camera, and this is a webcam. It's the Elgato Facecam. This is what streamers be using. So this shouldn't burn out on me when I live stream later on today. It shouldn't. We gonna see. But with that being said, let's get into our comments. Honestly, I'm only gonna address 2 videos because I did get a lot of comments, but I got way more on these 2. So that's gonna be the focus of today's episode. So the first comments I got was from the Steven Crowder versus Daily Wire random live stream I did Thursday, just because all the videos coming out, they were so long. They were just so long. And it just made more sense to go that route instead of just chopping everything into pieces and releasing it one by one, right? So if you guys don't know what happened, Steven Crowder, he dropped a video stating that he knew he was going to leave the Blaze, so he decided to field some free agent offers to see what all these other companies were talking about. He went over everything that he was offered. He didn't like it. He compared it to slave contracts. He showed excerpts of a contract on screen while he was talking, but he never named names. From there, people started speculating. They were like, is it Daily Wire? Is it Fox? Is it this place? Is it that one? And Daily Wire was just kind of like, you know what? We just gonna come out and say it was us, because in that same video, he said he had receipts and he didn't want to have to pull them if he didn't need to. He wanted people to come out and be honest and yada, yada, yada. Even though he didn't name names, he basically blackmailed people. That's all he did. So Daily Wire was like, all right, well, since you showed excerpts from our term offer sheet, it was us. The one on screen was from us. And Jeremy Boring, who is the co-founder of Daily Wire, when he dropped his video, he spent 52, almost hour. He spent almost an hour going over the term offer sheet word by word. Now, everybody keeps confusing this, which is so annoying. They keep saying, it was a crappy contract. It was a crappy contract. It was a term offer sheet, okay? All it is that you pass it to the person. The only thing they do, because it sounds like they just copy and paste this same sheet to everybody, they just change the numbers, right? All they do is change the dollar amount and be like, here you go. And you're supposed to look at it with a lawyer, right? And you look at it and be like, this don't make sense. And you put a red line through it. This don't make sense. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And you give it back to them if you would like to negotiate. If you don't want to negotiate, you just you put on your big boy pants and you be like, you know what? Thanks for the offer, but I'm going to have to decline. Hopefully we can work together in other ways in the future. That's all you had to do, right? He goes through piece by piece what everything means, which he didn't have to do. I've never seen a company do this before. So he's very transparent, very honest. There was parts to the story that he mentioned after he broke the whole contract down of things that Steven did where he called on the phone after the fact, right? After he received his term offer sheet, he called a couple days later. Jeremy was like, hey, man, are you ready to negotiate? And Steven's like, nah, that's trash. This is trash. I'm not negotiating nothing. You gonna write me a whole brand new one and it's gonna be what I want. And he was like, oh, okay. But what is that? That's the whole purpose of the sheet. Did you redline it? I ain't doing none of that because that's stupid. It's like, what do you want then? They had some back and forth. Essentially, Steven was like, I want 120 mil. And Jeremy was like, ooh, that's a big number. I don't think we can meet on that. Why do you think you deserve 120 mil? Because I know what I pulled with Mug Club. Okay, what are you pulling with Mug Club? I don't know. I don't get to see those numbers. The fact that everybody keeps forgetting this part of the story, that Steven himself said happened in his second video. It's like, bro, how are you even going to negotiate your own net worth if you don't even know what you pulling in off of it? That don't make sense, bro. You don't even know your own sheet. And I said in that video, there's 2 things I said. When Jeremy was reading off the numbers, I was like, this sounds like a record deal. And I was like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, record deals, when they be giving 360 deals to their artists, this is exactly what this sounds like. Funnily enough, there's some black conservative creators I watch, They said the same thing on Friday and Saturday. Bro, I was ahead of the curve. I was ahead of the curve with that. They said the same thing I said. Another thing, if you don't even know your numbers, you don't know what you're worth. So I was like, I would like to see his like P&L sheet so he can so I can know what he even think he's talking about. But that's between him and Jeremy at the end of the day. We should have never been in this to begin with. Steven then dropped his video, and he started it off with a recorded phone call with Jeremy Boring. And a lot of people were just like, oh, I can't believe Jeremy said that. And I said something along the lines, I'm like, well, that's scummy. You guys said you had been friends for like a decade, and you're recording him behind his back. And it wasn't even for the contract negotiations, because at the time when he said he was worth 120, Jeremy straight up told him, he was like, look, we're too far apart on the numbers. I don't think we're going to meet. So I'm going to just end negotiations right here. I wish nothing but the best for you. I hope you can find what you're looking for. But in the meantime, I mean, we still friends. Like, I'm still going to promote you over here on my platform. We can still do stuff together for free because we cool like that, right? That would been done. Months later, Steven called him out the blue, Jeremy thinking this is a friend phone call. And it starts off that way, but then he goes into this whole bringing a contract back up. How are we talking about a contract that and them negotiations ended months ago? That's weird. And it's so weird that y'all fell for the okie doke. A lot of y'all fell for the okie doke. A lot of y'all left me like comments this long. Like, if you watch the Rakita Law video, that's supposed to be a lawyer. That person claims they are a lawyer. They kept calling it a contract. It was not a contract. It's a term offer sheet. You already looking a little shaky in my eyes. Like, what type of lawyer are you? You keep saying it's a contract. It's a term offer sheet. It's just a starting point. Candace said the same thing. She said she got the same literal sheet was given to her, but the dollar figure was different. It wasn't 50, right? And then she said she looked at it and she was like, yo, some of this don't even make sense because there's things on here that I don't even have. So what are they talking about? The lawyer had to break it down for her lawyer, and then she was like, oh, all right. So they red marked a bunch of stuff, sent it back, and they kept going back and forth until she was like, yeah, I'm cool with this. I do that. That's all it is. Steven Crowder, I'm going to let y'all know right now, my man has handled this whole situation so unprofessionally. So unprofessionally. And then to sit there in that second video, my man said twice, Jeremy, Ben, give me a phone call. We can still sit down and make this work between us. That ship done sailed, bro. You burnt that bridge. And then go end the video as a whole as, well, at least give me a phone call so you could change the clauses in how you run your business. Sir, that's not up to you how they run their business. If you think their business is being ran so bad, if you think these contracts, which they're not the only one, by the way, other content creators in the creative space, Tim Pool from Timcast, Young Rippa, like a bunch of people that came forward and was like, yeah, I done sat down with the Daily Wire, Blaze, Fox, all these places. All their contracts, their term offer sheets all look the same because it's just a standard entertainment contract. That's all that is. If Steven really feels like that is slavery, okay, because the terms and conditions, how they're laid out, even though he didn't even negotiate none of that, my man just said, I'll do it for 120. I do it for 120. He said that. He didn't deny it. I don't know why a lot of y'all like, it's not about the money, it's the principle. I promise you, if that phone call where he was like, I want 120, and Daily Wire was like, all right, bro, since we cool, I'll give it to you. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. This would be a non-issue, okay? I'm telling you, it would be a non-issue. But since he put it out there, all these other people came out and said the same thing. But if Steven truly believes that all these businesses are wrong, then bro, just go indie. Do your own thing. Create your own company. And if you run it that smooth, and then the creators and employees under you be like, yeah, man, this is what I'm getting and blah, blah. Not to us, but to everybody else behind the scenes. Then all these other creators and all these other places going to be like, yo, I'm going to talk to them when my contract is up. And then at that point, when everybody starts coming to Steven's company, all these other companies have a choice. At that point, they'll change their contracts to mimic whatever he's doing, or they'll just go bankrupt. But you don't sit there and be like, you all do what I say, or this is a war on you and big shut up, bro. Shut up. Shut up. They're not your enemy. You don't get to tell somebody what to do. Be like every entrepreneur that came before you. It was like, oh, I don't like how this works. I'm going to do my own thing. And show and prove. That's all you got to do. I done had comments. Somebody was just like, you don't understand. 50 million is not enough money. He's going to have to work 10 plus hour days. That's too much. Bruh, there's people that work 12, 14, 16-hour days, sometimes 18. They're not getting 50 million. And that's the starting point. Jeremy literally said, I thought we were going to negotiate back and forth on a bunch of stuff and meet somewhere between 70 and 80. He thought at the top end, he might even have to do 100, but 120? Bro, come on, bro. I'm telling you, this dude, he's playing all of y'all. When he says, it's not about the money, it's not about the money, it's the little guy. Why you ask for 120 then, if it's not about the money? Why you ask for that? Why'd you do that? Why not just be professional and be like, hey man, I'm gonna have to pass on this contract, but thank you though. Keep it professional. My man not only burned his bridge at Daily Wire, every other company that sent him offers and saw how he just handled all of this, do you think they're gonna reach back out and be like, yeah, we hear you, man. We hear you. We'll give you the 120. That's not happening. That's not happening. I saw him, the latest thing that happened, he was eyeballing because somebody told him about Rumble. That's not going to work either. Rumble offered Joe Rogan $100 million when he had his little issues with Spotify at one point. Because other podcast creators on Spotify wanted him to be canceled. So Rumble was like, hey, you come over here, we give you $100 million. Now, we see what didn't happen. But if Joe Rogan's worth $100 million, bro, Steven Crowder not about to get that out of Rumble. Yeah, come on. That's not about to happen. That's not about to happen. Now, if he wants to take 50 million from Rumble, but he didn't, hey, that however they contract negotiations go, it just sounds like, honestly, it sounded like he was scared and he needed a plan to get the emails so he can get y'all signed up for Mug Club because he indie. He got to figure out how to make it now. And going indie is very scary because in the very beginning stages, you're not going to make whatever you were making wherever else you were at. It's very scary because now you hold the costs for everything. You literally hold the cost for everything. You have to pay for infrastructure. You have to pay rent. You have to pay utilities. You have to pay your employees, insurance, a bunch of stuff. You are on hold for all that now. You're not just a creator anymore. As a creator, because he does produce his own show, it's kind of like, okay, I have to cover the cost of production and blah, blah, blah. But they handle everything else. Marketing and all that, that's on him now. It's scary. That's very scary, especially if you don't have the money for that. But that's something he should have thought of and made a game plan for before burning all these bridges. Because my man handled this super unprofessionally. And I'm not the only one to say that. Like I said, all these other content creators in the sphere that has stated they had contract negotiations and term offer sheets from all these other companies and they turned them down because they were like, yeah, it just didn't work for me, but I'm going to do this. And before anybody says, but you demonetization on YouTube, he's still on YouTube. He makes his money from Mug Club, but he uses YouTube as a marketing ploy. You kind of have to. What y'all don't understand, a lot of these companies are liberal. So when y'all be like, we have to stop big tech and blah, 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 who's the big tech for the right? Who is it? We don't really have one. I guess Rumble for the moment, but if you look at Rumble's terms and conditions, they're worded very closely to YouTube's. How long until Rumble starts turning into YouTube? The user base isn't as big, so you might be able to get away with some stuff right now. But how long until you start turning into YouTube? I'm just saying, we all know to play the game, you have to talk a certain way on these liberal sites. And then if your true fans will pay for everything that's behind the paywall. So you can do everything you need to do. That's how you play the game. He's doing the same thing. He's playing the same game. He's playing the same exact game. That's why I told y'all in that live stream, I already knew from jump, way before I was ever monetized, when I first started my channel, I was like, at some point, as I grow, this only has to get used for certain things, and I'm going to have to create my own site, my own channel, my own stuff might be behind a paywall, because it depends on the advertisers I get. If I get some good advertisers, well, I'd be like, you know what, I would use this. I think the people I'm marketing to, I think my audience would be cool with seeing these ads. If I could work it correctly, I could try to still have stuff for y'all to see for free on the website if the advertisers cover everything else. But see, that's business. A lot of y'all not thinking about that. Y'all like, we have to stick it to the man and yada yada. We all got bills to pay. It's a business at the end of the day. Regardless of how you paint it, it is a business. And if he don't like it, he don't gotta play by their contract rules. Be indie, bro. Do what you gotta do. Be indie. But we're not gonna sit here and be like, that contract was trash. That's not enough money. Well, most of y'all have never even seen $1,000, $10,000, $50,000. You got the nerve to be like, 50 million. That's just not enough. I just thought it was funny. But that's my breakdown on the whole Steven Crowder Daily Wire thing. I like both. I still think Steven is scummy and very unprofessional for how he went about everything. And also, I know in that video, I was like, I'm going to email that creator thing he put down, the email address about joining the network. I couldn't stop thinking about that phone call. Him recording it behind his friend's back. Because if that's what you do to a friend, what do you do to your coworkers and employees? And then also a bunch of people came out and said how it was working for him behind the scenes. Your character kind of flawed right now. Your character kind of flawed right now. All right, moving on to the last thing. So a video that I dropped about 3-4 weeks ago, it's called Church of God Restoration Gets Exposed, and I reacted to it. I told you guys in that video that back in October, I had randomly came across a TikTok and some other videos about this church called Church of God Restoration and how it's really a cult, right? One of their places is right here in Ohio. It's in Greenville. It's on the borderline of Ohio and Indiana. And one of the comments I said at the time, one of you said, if you do go out there, don't go by yourself. And not only did I get a comment on this video, there were others that had messaged me. It was like, yo, if you do go out there, just be careful. That's kind of dangerous, right? So just to give you in a nutshell, at the time, I was like, don't worry. I'm definitely not going alone. I'm going to be taking people with me and we all going to be armed. I live in an open carry state. I don't need license or anything for it anymore. So I'm going to be strapped up because I'm not going to a cult empty-handed. You know what I'm saying? My boyfriend saw the video like a couple days after the fact. And he was like, oh, you ain't going nowhere. and we like talked about it. And he was like, the only way I would ever be comfortable with you going, we would have to hire armed security and I would also have to be present with you. And he was like, even then, I'm still not comfortable with you going. But that would be the minimum to get you to go. And I was like, well, it sounds like I'm never going down there. For whatever reason, Friday and Saturday, this video, which was like stagnant the whole week, just pew, shot up, right? All these views came in, all these comments, and I want to read you some of these comments. So somebody who also has a YouTube channel that exposes this church, is the one right here in Ohio. It says, saying, don't go armed. They have many who are armed and they are young and could take you being armed as a threat. How many churches you done been to where armed people are around? We saw that in the video I was reacting to. They had dudes armed and strapped guarding the door of the church while they were having service. From the inside, it looked like you couldn't leave. So it's like, I've never seen a church like that before. Why is that happening? I'm like, yeah, you a cult for real. You a cult for real. Says they preach against going to doctors and using medicine. They call it divine healing, but they apparently don't believe in divine protection because they have armed bodyguards around their chief apostles. They believe that they are the messiahs. One of their apostles said angels visited Ray Tinsman's mother when she was carrying him, and that Ray was going to deliver the children of Israel. The guy asking questions in my response video is an ex-member, Ben introduced as an atheist. It was a public meeting called by Ray because there were people standing out at the end of their driveway holding signs wanting their wives to come back home. You, so he's speaking to me now, will now be called racist for speaking out against them. That's what they did recently to another group of 11 people. And you know, that doesn't bother me. So far, I've been compared to Hitler, Nazis, I'm a bigot, I'm an idiot. What else? What else was there? Oh, the whole I'm already racist because I'm skinny. So I guess now I'm also racist because I'm calling you out on being a cult. Yeah. So, yeah, that doesn't bother me. I've been called some other things too. So, hey, this has been quite the 5-month journey as a conservative Christian on YouTube. And then they dropped me a link about a public meeting with interesting revelations of who they are. And they said this is a full public meeting. In this meeting, Ray finally publicly admits that a rumor we had heard for years was actually true. A Church of God Restoration minister did in fact violate 3 young girls, and the police were not called, and he only lost his privileges to preach in the cult. The cult names names of anyone who disagrees with the cult's man worship, but they do not warn the parents of the sexual predators among them. So, outside of that, I had a young man message me on Facebook who also has a TikTok page where him and his parents dedicated it to exposing the cult as well. Apparently, they used to be in it, and they've been out for a couple months now. I've asked him if he would be comfortable speaking about this on a live stream this week, and he said he wants me to remind him, but he said he will be coming on Tuesday. So I will remind him and just be like, hey, are you still coming Tuesday to talk about this? But so far, he is in the books for Tuesday. This is very random because this happened on Friday and Saturday. So we will be talking about that this week. As you guys know, I live stream every Monday and Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST. That's Eastern Standard Time, whatever that translates to you. Come on through. Tuesday is when we will be doing the interview. But because this is so popular, we are going to dive into some of these videos on Monday so you guys can see firsthand what this cult is. And if you have any questions for the young man that I'm going to be talking to on Tuesday, start formulating them up. So, because you guys can ask questions as well. So, but with that being said, that's this week's episode of Let's Address the Comments. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I will see you at 3 p.m. for the next video, and then I will see you at 7 p.m. for the live stream. My live streams be lit. So I was on Kyle's live stream. He did a random one where a bunch of people could just jump in and talk. And I was on his live stream randomly on Thursday. And he said it before I left, so the next person come in. He was just like, you guys gotta join her live streams. I've been to a couple. They're actually very fun. And that's a good thing to hear, because just because I think they fun based on how, y'all coming through and talking, I don't really know. I'm not y'all. So to hear another perspective of that, cool. I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. But till 3 p.m., you already know who it is. It's Sang.